Celestial Gems is a series of 5 motivational speeches delivered by Thecla C. Deterville to various groups and organizations marking or celebrating special occasions. These speeches have been delivered to schools, women's groups, sporting and charitable organizations, and business enterprises. Thecla C. Deterville, Managing Director of Celestial Self-Development Center, holds a master's degree in business administration from the University of the West Indies Cave Hill Campus Center for Management Development. She served as president of the St. Lucia Chamber of Commerce, Industry and Agriculture for 2 consecutive terms. She has been a board member of several local institutions and organizations.
This address was first delivered at the graduation exercise for a small business management course organized by SEDU, the Small Enterprise Development Unit, on January 28, 2002, under the theme Independence Through Entrepreneurship. As entrepreneurs, some of you are very fortunate to be able to earn your livelihood by doing something that you love. There is no greater satisfaction to be had from work but the joy provided in your current form of employment. There is a book entitled Do What You Love, The Money Will Follow by Marcia Senator, which bears me out on this. I've also come across a quote by Jesme West, which reads as follows: "Knowledge of what you love somehow comes to you. You don't have to read, nor analyze, nor study. If you love a thing enough, knowledge of it seeps into you with particulars more real than any chat can furnish." End of quote. So we can see that there is a correlation between the ease with which we can acquire knowledge when we love what we do. And I'm sure that as entrepreneurs, this is so for most of you, if not all of you. Knowledge should also assist you in doing things better after we have acquired such knowledge than the way we did it before we acquired the knowledge. If this is not so in your case, the certificate that you will receive today will not be worth the paper that it is written on. It becomes a mere ornament. The acquisition of knowledge has to be an instrument of change. It has to be for us that we can change our mindset about how things are done and how we see the world in which we live. To make this investment of time, money, and other resources worth your while, there must be a physical and psychological transfer of that knowledge into your subsequent actions. Actions that will improve the quality of your product, the viability of your business, enterprise, and the quality of your life. This knowledge-propelled action must be consistent. Psychologists say that it takes 21 days of consistent practice of a new skill or task before we can change and adopt that new habit or skill. It would not be sufficient for us to try a new technique once or twice and then decide that it does not work. The saying, practice makes perfect, is relevant here. As entrepreneurs, there are a number of areas in business that we must pay special attention to. Some of these are the use of modern and appropriate technology. Note the use of the word appropriate, not necessarily anything over the top. Sometimes the bare minimum will suffice. What it takes is a willingness to learn new ways of doing things. In our current globalized world, our competitors are not those we see in front of us. Our competitors are in the world, that global village that we hear so much of. Check the World Wide Web for persons offering goods and services similar to you, and you will get a clear understanding of what I mean. Everything is now only a click away. We are operating at a time when, as far as we know, there is no parallel in the history of mankind. This is why we cannot close our eyes to ideas such as that of regional unity. This initiative has great implications for business in the Caribbean, where our limited island populations cannot sustain the growth of our businesses. Our population size restrains our ability to explore our creativity because of the limitations of our market size. We must examine all facets of this initiative. Not only who will come and take our jobs and how many more criminals will have access to our shores, but also what will such an initiative do for our markets. What benefits can we derive from economies of scale? How many more persons can we sell to without barriers? We must not forget that other parts of the world are getting together to strengthen their positions in the global economy. We have trading blocs such as the European Union, the FTAA, Free Trade Area of the Americas, among others. We must allow ourselves to see the bigger picture, since the world will not stop for us to jump off, nor allow us more time to play catch-up. We must use our creativity as a people to improve ourselves and to provide ourselves with opportunities. We need to check in on our mindsets. It cannot be business as usual. We cannot afford to say "upavle kite la" like we heard years ago in the marketplace. We must be consistently innovative and receptive to new ideas. We need to re-examine our processes and procedures to ensure that they are relevant to our business objectives. There must be a constant hunger for learning. Some of what you learned over the past few months can become obsolete in a very short space of time, though some fundamental principles remain the same. The basics do work if they address the core of our businesses. Oftentimes, we are advised to go back to basics when we have gone all over, tried any and everything, only to find that it has not worked. Another habit that has become synonymous with some of our local entrepreneurs is to believe that every cent that comes into the business is profit. Money to spend on everything except reinvest in the business. We need to be able to recognize our investment capital, our principal versus our profits. And we need to be cognizant of the cost of capital, what is working capital, and all other overheads before we translate the click of the cash register as money to spend on the latest car, the biggest house, the latest fashion, the increase in the number of families to be maintained. Record keeping is also of paramount importance. Some persons are of the view, this is my money, I do not have to keep records. You need to have that information for yourself, for income tax purposes, as well as for decision making. This is of extreme importance to your bankers and prospective investors you may want to attract later in the life cycle of your business. Questions of expansion must also be closely examined and analyzed before they are ventured into. There is also a need for us as St. Lucians to begin to look closely at venture capital and investment from associates. But again, before we get into this, we must put accounting and operating systems in place. These need to be examined on a wider scale. Why is it that we do not pool our resources to give us the required leverage to enter into successful business enterprises? Why do we not trust each other? We have the knowledge of how business works, but we prefer not to adhere to these principles. Are we basically dishonest? We continue to perpetuate the old saying that a partnership is a leaky ship. It does not have to be that way. If we follow best practice that guides the formation and functioning of partnerships, this will provide us with the necessary protection for our investments. There are a number of questions to be asked here, and we need to examine them closely. With the cost of money being what it is, we need to find mechanisms that take into consideration our idiosyncrasies as a people. That will allow us to pool our resources for economic and social advancement and that of our country. As small business people, customer service and customer satisfaction must also be of paramount importance to us. We cannot say that because we are small, these things do not apply to us. The quality of our product must stand the test and be up to world standards. People will not buy from us simply because they like us or our friends and relatives. If we offer a service or product, we must be competitive and give value for money. If we are into niche marketing, we have to set acceptable standards for ourselves, because our quality is what will keep our customers coming back for more. We need to develop, sustain, and sell our brand. If we expect to do repeat business and develop our businesses, we must ensure that our customers are satisfied, that the expectations have not only been met but have been exceeded. I do not have to tell you as small business people and entrepreneurs the value of productivity, because for you, there is no one to blame and no one to hide behind. Your days may be long and hard. If you employ others, ensure that your expectations of them are made clear. Keep yourself up to date with the various laws that will impact you as a business person. Be it the new labor code when it is enacted, the new Companies Act, the Consumer Protection Act, or any other piece of legislation. If you are unable to do so, keep in touch with organizations such as CEDU and any other business organizations that represent your interests. When laws are enacted, they apply to all of us, regardless of size. Self-development is an aspect we cannot ignore. Make time for yourself to think, to recreate, to develop spiritually, and to take care of your health. Everything has its place in the scheme of things. As business people, we cannot forget our contribution to the economic activity of our country. This is our role. We have to find out what we can do to assist those less fortunate than ourselves. You may not be able to give money, but you may have some other talent that you can share with schools, community groups, institutions. Do not renege on that responsibility. As parents, we have a role to play as well. We need to be conscious of the transfer of knowledge, skill, and traditional family know-how, and the part that we can play in improving the living standards of our families. Proper financial planning is a key to that sustainable transfer of wealth from one generation to the next. The world is a more challenging place now than it was, say, 10, 15 years ago. Whereas our children may have more opportunities now than we had, we must ensure that in making a better life for them, we do not make them totally dysfunctional in a competitive environment. This is a whole new topic worthy of further discussion. We all have a contribution to make regardless of where we are. The question to ask is, what am I doing with what I have or where I am? We must learn to count our blessings as a people and not dwell constantly on the negatives. We must take time to introspect and listen to ourselves. Sometimes we look for answers all over the place, yet it is right within us. But we do not take time to listen and to ask the right questions so that we can get the right answers. We have heard it said that the present is now, the past is a memory, and the future is a dream. Yes, we need to dream, but what we can impact or change is always now. That is why it is called the present. I talk of the present moment, which we can always impact by the choices we make. Let us continue to make wise choices. Live your dreams, work on them, nurture them, develop them, and ensure that you share what is available for sharing. My wish is that you continue in your own way to make your contribution to yourself, your families, your communities, your country, and the world of which you are a citizen. And remember, in the final analysis, none of us is as strong as all of us. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for inviting me to share my thoughts with you and for being such an attentive audience. Congratulations to all of you, and I wish you every success in your business endeavors.